Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. And as usual, we will be discussing a contentious debate, ladies and gentlemen, in light of the latest economic measures that were taken, very important measures from the liberalization of the Egyptian pound to many other economic measures that have been a must for taking. This is not what we will be discussing today, but rather an important issue that has been called by President Fattah al-Sisi, which is the investment climate. Now, the Supreme Investment Council, which was headed by President Fattah al-Sisi, agreed last week to extend a freeze on a capital gains tax to 3 years. This was one of 17 other measures in order to be able to really attract investments. The Council approved in total 17 measures aimed at boosting investment that included tax exemption for farmers who produce strategic crops that Egypt imports or exports, as well as 5-year tax exemption for manufacturers who will make strategic goods or commodities that are imported or exported. There were also new ways to settle tax disputes and to reduce bureaucratic barriers to investments, notably by introducing temporary manufacturing license while factories complete paperwork and forcing government agencies to grant license or settle disputes faster. Of course, today we'll be discussing those 17 measures taken by the Supreme Investment Council. What do we need more in order to really be able to attract more investment to our country, which is much needed in this upcoming stage, since we are speaking about drastic measures that will be taken in order to be able to settle our dire economy or the needs of our dire economy. Before we move on or proceed with our discussion, let me first take a top story of the day. But before even taking the top story of the day, we all know that the whole world is awaiting the much anticipated US election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Today will be the last and final stage or the voting process. Tomorrow, we will be, or the whole world will be watching out for this important incident worldwide. I guess Nile TV will be in full coverage of those 2 days until we have the final results, so until tomorrow. Our top story for the day, Aramco has suspended oil to Egypt until further notice. That is according to Petroleum Minister of Petroleum Tariq Al-Mulla said on Monday that Saudi National Oil Company Aramco has informed Egypt that it has suspended its oil shipments until further notice. Saudi Arabia agreed to provide Egypt with 700,000 tons of refined oil products per month for 5 years under a $23 billion deal between Saudi Aramco and the Egyptian General Petroleum Corporation, signed earlier this year. Egypt stopped receiving its allocation in October. Earlier on Monday, the Ministry of Petroleum denied reports of an official visit to negotiate new oil deals in Tehran after Saudi Arabia suspended its oil agreement. And I guess to highlight the issue, we have with us over the phone Dr. Ibrahim Zahran, international expert in the field of oil and gas. Good evening to you, Dr. Ibrahim.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And this headline of the day, an Aramco suspension of oil to Egypt. Now, we really want to understand exactly what does this mean and how would that reflect on Egypt at large. I mean, electricity-wise, power, the needs of oil. Please.
Well, I think we have to say thank you for Aramco and for Saudi Arabia. We are going to square one before Aramco. Aramco is 6 months contract implemented. And before Aramco, we went to the international market and get our needs from the international market every 3 months or every 2 months, whatever. But after the suspension of Aramco contract. And I think last month we get the material within 48 hours, and this month also we get the material within 48 hours. So there is no problem to return again to the square one, which we implemented several years before. But the point is the facilities, because they sent the oil against its price have 5 years or 3 years. I mean, after the implementation of the contract.
Mm.
So there is no problem now. We can live without Aramco and without any impression or any pressure from any other country.
If we can ask about this legal-wise, how far do you think that Egypt would take any kind of legal measures towards that, and what kind of measures can Egypt really take?
There is no special measures for that, because already they raised the price of all the products 2 days before, but it's not the problem. The problem is how to find that $800 million per month. I think we can, after some measures for the other items in the government, they can do it.
Yes. Dr. Ibrahim Zahran, international expert in the oil and gas field, we thank you very much for joining us. I guess the only comment that can be said, the differences can really be solved in other ways, particularly between brothers. Anyway, now we get back to our episode, or our main topic of the day. The Supreme Investment Council approves draft of measures to boost investment. Let's watch this report and we'll come back for discussion.
The aim of improving the investment climate in Egypt in removing all obstacles facing investors, the Supreme Investment Council, presided over by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi last week, approved a host of measures to boost investment that included an extended suspension of capital gains tax on shares and tax exemptions for producers in strategic sectors. The council set up by the president last month approved a total of 17 measures. The council decided to extend the suspension of the stock exchange tax by 3 years. The council also exempted profit gain from agriculture from tax if they either provided a substitute for imported crops or plant crops for export. Agricultural and industrial projects in Upper Egypt are also accepted to be exempted from profit tax for the first 5 years after the land is acquired. Products produced locally that provided an alternative to imports will also be exempted from the profit tax for 5 years. Another incentive agreed upon by the council aims to attract investment to Upper Egypt by offering land for industrial use in the most impoverished part of the country for free. In the new urban communities in the region, land will be offered for only 500 LE per square meter and delivered complete with its infrastructure 1 year later. Investors who pay the council for the state land before the years and will get a 35% discount on the offered price. A 25% discount was also offered to investors interested in buying land in the new urban communities, including the planned administrative capital with 3 months for the date it is offered. Seeking to integrate small and medium enterprises into the formal economy, the Investment Council is offering them tax reconciliation to register with the tax authority by paying a segmental amount on every year in the year their activity until 2017. The Council also approved the creation of a new marketing company under the General Authority for Investments to promote domestic and foreign investments. A new permanent dispute committee will be also established to look into investors' complaints and report them to the Investment Council. All ministers will be obligated to implement the exciting dispute council decisions within 15 days. Additionally, a new national council will be created with the aim of reducing the use of cash outside the banking system. The meeting was attended by Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, Governor of Egypt's Central Bank Tariq Aimer, the Finance, Defense, Interior, Investment, Trade and Justice Ministers, along with the Chief of the General Intelligence Service.